Today is not only our last day in the Red Centre, it is actually our last day in Australia. It's about 7:30 in the morning. We have the truck all packed up. We have a long 2 days travel ahead of us, and that starts with a 5.5-hour drive to Alice Springs.
We're on the road making our way to Alice Springs, and I cannot believe our month in Australia is coming to an end. It was so fast-paced and jam-packed. We fit in as much as we could, and it all started with 4 days in Sydney. Our around-the-world adventure starts today. We're gonna make it.
How pretty is this? It's like a little canopy. Sydney is such an awesome city and there's so much to do, but I would have to say my favorite is the day we went out to Watson's Bay. It was actually raining that morning when we woke up, so we had pretty low expectations for the day. The ferry ride in itself was incredible. It has awesome views looking back over the harbor, and then we just took our time, made our way along the coast, and I even got to see a whale.
Watson's Bay was definitely up there for me too, and honestly looking back at the pace of the last month, just spending 4 days in one place was pretty nice. If I had to pick a day though, it would have been when we went out to the Blue Mountains. It was a 2-hour train ride out of the city, but since we did it on a Sunday, it only cost us $2.80 a piece for the whole day. And the Three Sisters viewpoint was beautiful, but it was honestly pretty crowded. So getting off the paved path and walking the ridge to the next town was really what made it my favorite day of the 4 days in Sydney.
Our final Tim Tam in Australia. This is a sad, sad moment. We got here early. After Sydney, we flew up to Cairns where we picked up a camper van and started a 2-week road trip down the East Coast.
Nom nom nom.
Cheese tasting. Yep. Our first kangaroos that are alive! I'd say after 5 hours, the romance of the inland driving has worn off on both of us a little bit.
We really did enjoy camper van life. It was tight quarters for sure, but once we found a home for everything, it was perfectly manageable. We covered a lot of ground between Cairns and Brisbane, and we could have easily used an extra week to slow it down a little bit. It was pretty fast paced, but we covered a lot of bucket list items in a short period of time.
We went scuba diving on the Great Barrier Reef out of Port Douglas. We're brand new to scuba diving. We just got certified a few weeks before we left for Australia, and doing 3 dives in 1 day on the Great Barrier Reef was one heck of an intro. We went camping in the Whitsunday Islands and got to see the swirly sands at Whitehaven Beach, and that is something I've wanted to see for years. And we went four-wheel driving on Fraser Island, which really takes adventure to a whole new level. We spent half of our time in Australia on the East Coast, and I would not trade that time for anything. Hello, how are you? Good, how are you?
We finished our road trip in Brisbane, and after dropping off the van, we flew to Melbourne and spent 3 days on the Great Ocean Road.
Oh my gosh, it's a koala bear. And that brings us to the final leg of our Australia adventure that we are finishing up today, where we flew into Alice Springs and took on the Outback for 6 days.
This is gonna add a whole new dynamic to driving in Australia.
This little guy didn't make it. Check out this new house.
I feel like we were able to get a true appreciation for the remoteness of the Red Center by renting a 4x4 and driving to Yulara through the Moraine Loop. The landscape is really unlike anything else we saw while we were here in Australia. I will say it's late spring and it's already unforgivably hot, so we had to have some early mornings in order to get out and explore. And now it's time for pizza.
Oh, it's hot.
We've been wanting to visit Australia for years now, and our month here was everything that we hoped it would be. We took 6 different flights and drove roughly 4,000 kilometers. We saw and did so many different things. We'll make sure to link our entire itinerary in the description.
We planned our month in Australia a few months ago when we were back home and before we had quit our jobs, so we really planned it more like a vacation. This holds true from a budget standpoint too. Australia is a very expensive country, and what we had budgeted for this past month is more than what we plan to spend in the next 3 to 4 months combined. Tomorrow we continue our worldwide journey with a long layover in Singapore, and then we fly to Myanmar. From there, we have no flights booked and no plans. Things are about to get interesting.